Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel What the Framework, and welcome back to our ServiceNow tutorial series. Today we are diving into user management with most powerful glide system functions. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more awesome ServiceNow content. Alright, before we dive coding into the glide system and start using it, I want to let you know about the three important things which we need to know about the glide system. First, the glide system gives us information about the current logged in user and system. And as a ServiceNow developer, it's going to be very handy in our day-to-day use cases when we are developing or we are changing the out-of-the-box features in ServiceNow. Second, it can be only used in server-side scripting. Remember that it can only be used in server-side scripting and server-side scripting locations like business rule, scripting includes, workflow, and so on. Unlike the client-side scripting location like the client script and UI policies. Third, it does not need to be invoked like the way we invoke the glide record. It is automatically available to us under the server-side scripting location and we can directly use it. Alright, my fellow ServiceNow developers, let's dive straight into the code. Imagine you're building an application in ServiceNow where you need to retrieve and manipulate user data. Here's how you can leverage glide system functions to do just that. So right down here, I've put down two use cases. So we'll be tackling both the use cases one by one. Let's address the first use case, that is get current logged in user, the user ID, the user display name, the email, language, date format. So we require all this information of the current logged in user and we need to print it. So what are we going to do is here, since we already have learned previously that if it is a logged in user and we need to retrieve any information from about the logged in user, we can take help of glide system. So let's just do that. So first thing what we need to retrieve is we need to retrieve the user ID of the logged in user. So let me declare a variable that is var user ID. And to access the glide system API, it's quite simple. As you remember, I told you before that we do not need to invoke the glide system API the way we invoke the glide record API. So we don't need to create a new instance of the glide record of the glide system like the way we create for the glide record. So this glide system API is automatically available in the server-side scripting. So to access the glide system, all we need to do is that write gs and then we can write dot and we are able and all the helper functions are exposed to us inside the glide system. So to retrieve the user ID of the logged in user, all we need to do is chain in the function get user ID to the glide system, and yes, the get user ID result is the user ID and it is stored inside the user ID variable. Now let's create another variable called var user display name, and we also have a helper function inside the glide system to get the logged in user's display name, that's called get user display name. Okay, and before we get into the next three part, that is the email, language and date format, let's print out these two information what we have just written down. So for printing it, gs.print, and this user id is user id gs.print user display name is user display name. So if you must have noticed that even for printing any record, we have used the Glide System API. So as you remember, the Glide System API not only gives information about the logged in user, but also gives helper functions to be used for retrieving or sending information to the system. So I'll just run the script. So yeah, and as you can see, I've got the user ID of the logged in user and the user's display name. Just to verify is are we right, so I'll just see here. If you can go to the top bar to the extreme right, you can see the logged in user currently is system administrator. And to get the user ID of it, all I'm going to do is that go to the user table, and inside the user table I'll just search for, in the name was system administrator, so just write system, and I'll open the record in the form view. And yeah, if you see on the in the URL, you can find the information stating sys underscore id is equal to a value. So let's just verify. Let's just take the first three number, that is 681, and if you see here, the first three number is 681. The last three number is 441 here. Let's verify on the URL. It is 441. So yep, we are getting the right information, and the display name is system administrator, which we can get from here. So the next information, the next thing which we need to retrieve, let's check it. That is email, language and date format. So let's go here and just see. So we need to pick up language. Always remember, if we have not set any language, the default language of the system is English. So it should pick up English or the value stored as English in the table. So it will be mostly EN. And then we need to retrieve the email address and also the date format. So we need to retrieve this format. So what we're going to do is that again we are going to just use the glide system and call the helper methods. So let's do this. Var user email is equal to gs.get email, and let's print this information as well. gs.print user email id is, and let's give it user email, and let's run the script. And as you can see, we are getting undefined. The reason we are getting undefined is because there is no such helper function called get email. So all that we can get directly by chaining any function directly to the glide system is, one is the user ID, the display name, the first name, the last name. But if you want to get any information further than that and you're not able to get any function directly, now for example, if you want to get the date format, if you just try gs dot get date format and just write date format, date format. So yeah, since you can see there is the date format API with us, but if you notice that we don't have the email. Now let's do one thing. I will just write this user date format is. Now let's take out, just check if there is a language API directly chained with the GS, the glide system. So let's declare a variable var email is equal to gs dot get. Sorry, we are doing a language one. I'm really sorry. So it's var language is equal to gs dot get language. And if you see, you can also come to know via the prediction there is no such API, no such function. I'm sorry. So if we see get lang, so there is nothing like that. So there's something called get maximum schema name length, but we do not require that. So if you are not getting any information about a logged in user directly by chaining any functions to glide system, we can make use of a very useful or a very important function, that is get user. We can change the get user function directly to the glide system. And what this get user does is that it returns a reference to the user object for the currently logged in user. So I'll just give you with an example. So let's do one thing. So language, and to get the language we'll chain in the get user function, and this get user function will return a reference. Okay, it will not return the user ID or anything, but it will return a reference to the user object for the currently logged in user. So just let's write language here, where we have stored the reference of the logged in users object and user language, and let's run the script. And as you can see, the reference to the logged in users object is this. Okay, so it starts with com.glide and ends with 44. So if you want to get any information from here, like any other information which is not available directly from chaining any functions to the glide system, what we can do is that we can add a dot to get user, and then what we can do is that we can type get email. And as you can see, even the prediction, I can show you again, the prediction gave me that. So there is an option like get email. So any option which you directly don't get from glide system API, we can do one thing, that is we can create a reference to the logged in users object by using the get user function, and then chain in the information that we require. So currently the information which we require is email. Okay, so email is available. I'm sorry, it should be language. So let's try if language is available. So it's, yeah, as you can see, get language is also available, and as you have seen, even get email is available. So let's chain in email as well. So I just copied the above one, just changing the names, email, get user and get email. As you see the prediction, it is available, and let's just print that as well. I'll just copy the above one, user email, and just assign that variable here. And if you check it now, I'll just run the script. Okay, and as you can see, I've told you it stores the value of English, so it's en come here, and we have also got the email address. I'll just make it much better in visual, so I'll just add some spaces. And yeah, as you see, language is English, en, and the user email. And if you just want to verify, we have got the user email, we have got the date format, that's the same date format. Okay, I've just removed the date format, but yeah, as you can see, the system administrator's email and the display name all are the same. So in this way we can get the information of the current logged in user by using the glide system API. Alright fellow coders, let's jump into our second use case. The second use case which we have got is that we need to print all the incidents that have caller ID as the logged in user's caller ID. So any incident that has the caller ID as a logged in user ID, we just need to print, like for example, we can just print the number of that incident. So for achieving this use case, we don't need to just make use of glide system, but as you guys must have been aware by now that we also need to use the glide record. The reason why we need to use glide record is that we need to query inside the incidents table and retrieve only those information that has caller ID matching to the logged in view caller ID. So what I'm going to do is that, as the first thing, I'm going to initialize an instance of a glide record. For that, you can if you have any doubts or any questions regarding, or if you want to learn more about glide record, you can check out the video in this playlist. You will find more information there. So let's continue. So if you want to initialize an instance, so you have to declare a variable, incident gr. You can give any name for this variable, and new glide record, and it takes in one parameter as a constructor, and that is the table name, and the table name is incident. Then what I'm going to do is that I require only those incidents which are active, and for that we'll add a query called add active query. So this filters out only those incidents that are active. So next thing what we need to do is that we require to add a query, and the reason we require to add a query is to fulfill the use case that we have got. So we need to retrieve only the those incidents that have caller ID matching to a logged in users ID. So users ID, sorry. So let's just type here add query, and in add query what I'm going to do is that it requires two parameters. The first parameter is the field name. So the field name here is caller underscore ID, and then what I'll be requiring is the logged in users ID. And as you remember, by the previous use case here, to get the logged in users ID, we can use the Glide System API GS and get the user ID from here. So I'll just copy this, and yep. So by this way we got the logged in users ID. Then we'll query the record, and this is very important. Without doing this, adding this function query, we cannot start the query inside the table. And then we'll add a while loop, and that will iterate till incident.gr as next, till it as another record. It will keep iterating over that, and it will be printing the incident number, and it's gs dot, sorry, it's incident gr dot, and the value of the field which we want is number. So okay, that's a mistake here, and yeah. So before running this use case, what I'm going to do is that I'll comment out the above use case, the logic behind the above use case, so that the print is proper and it's easy to understand. I'm running the script, and as you can see there is only one record, and if you want to confirm that, what we can do is that we can go to the incident table, and for going to the incident table you can just type the table's name dot with the list. It opens the table in a new tab, and then we can use the filter option. Let's add active is true. That is the first query which we have added here. Where is it? Let's go back to the code. Let's create the code in the query filter, sorry. So we're adding the first query, that's add active query in the filter. Add the caller ID, that is we are adding the second one, the caller ID and the user's login ID, and instead of using, you can use directly the name, so that the logged in user's name is system administrator. And I'll just run it, and if you see, yep, there's only one record. If you see down here, there's only one record, and we have got the right data out here. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope this explanation was clear. And there you have it. With Glide System functions, managing user data in ServiceNow becomes a breeze. Whether you're retrieving user details or checking roles or performing other user related operation, Glide System has got you covered. Stay tuned for more ServiceNow tutorials, and please don't forget to subscribe for more updates. Thank you and goodbye.